All right, so, like 9 months later, I'm going to fix this blower. So a little bit of backstory, and this is kind of a hurried fix. I've actually spent the last couple days playing with the lathe. I think my previous video was just doing some work on the lathe, stuff like that. But the weather forecast has changed, and we're supposed to get a good decent bit of snow. They're saying anywhere over the next 3 days, they're saying anywhere from basically 3 to 10 inches. So time to fix the blower. Now, what is wrong with this blower? Basically, the seals on this gearbox are shot. And they are shot to the point that gear oil is just coming out. I don't think there's much gear oil left in there. And so we're going to replace both seals. But that means the augers have to come out. Basically, we'll do a good inspection of the fan and everything else while we're in there. Inspect the bearings. If I need to go get bearings, we'll go pick up those here in the next little bit before the farm store closes. So the first thing that I need to do is, I need to, aside from needing to get set up, what we're going to do first is we're going to, so we've got to loosen the support right here. That's going to come down, and basically once we get that down, then we can, let's see here, trying to think about how to do it. So you have to take this support off. That allows the gearbox to kind of flop around free. Then we're going to take our flange bearings out, and bearings in this thing should be fine, but in case I need some, going to go ahead and replace them if I need to. So go ahead and pull the shear pins or shear bolts, everything like that. We'll slide the augers out. I'm doing off of memory here from the last time I did this, and then we'll eventually get to just a bare gear case. We'll pull the gear case off. There's 2 seals, one seal here, one seal there, and then there's a gasket around this outside right there. So we'll get in there and inspect all that, and we will get it all replaced, slap it back together, and move forward with our lives. So let me get set up and get a couple of these bolts off, and then I'll come back and I'll show you what I did. Alright, it was a little bit of a struggle. The bearings were bad, so I've got to run to the store here real quick and grab some bearings. Ultimately, I did not need to take this off. I remembered that after I did a time-lapse video of this, so you should be able to see most of it. But before I go to the store, I'm going to try to go ahead and get this gear case apart. That's going to be a fun task. But the bearings were bad, and also, I had to, you see in the video, where's it at? Wrong one. A lot of times they have these little, I call them just stoppers. I had to drill this one out, actually drilled into the shaft a little bit, not a huge deal. But they were just so rusted on there. The bearings came off just fine. The bearings were a bit of a pain to get off, but they did come out. So, but the bearings are kind of crunchy. So we're gonna get new bearings, and we should be back in business. So what I'm gonna do now is I'll set up a video, get some gloves on, because these shafts are just covered in grease. Let me get some gloves on, and then we'll take this cover apart and everything, and we can put some new seals in there, and then we can put the new bearings on, and we'll have a really good condition blower. So but I need to go ahead and hurry up and do that, and get to town, get the bearings before it starts snowing. So I'll hurry up and do that. Alright, first thing I'm going to do is drain the remainder of the oil out of the gear housing, which I suppose I should have done this before. But live and learn, I guess. Nice thing is there shouldn't be too much in there. Since it all leaked out. Trying to make everything an absolute greasy mess. One of the perks of me changing gear oil frequently is the fact that all the plugs stay nice and loose. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it somewhere safe. Oh, there. So now what I need to do is I need to pull these, not sure what these are. I think those are just I need to pull this cover off. See, guessing it's a 15. Nope. 13. To me, a 14 is a pretty uncommon size, and that's what it is. Okay. So I don't have any torque specs for this, but these bolts are not on there very tight. So that just tells me that when I tighten them back up, I should not make them very tight. I'm not going to stand there with the impact and just torque them for an hour. Alright, 2. 3. 4. Alright. Now, let's see if I can get this thing apart. It's got all this really good grease on it, which we're going to have to put back on eventually. So it already kind of pulled apart a little bit, which is good. I don't have anything to hold on to yet. I'll just see if this cover... Okay, so this cover will come off. So I think what we're going to do... So... Alright, so there's our cover. I'm guessing that's what caused the seal to go bad. It looks like monofilament line or something. I don't know we had any in the yard, but because it went bad after I got this blower. So I'm trying to figure out how, I guess this is just one solid shaft. That's what it looks like. That's certainly what it looks like. What we're going to do, being very careful, I have no desire to replace that seal, and I don't have that seal because it wasn't leaking. Maybe I should have bought it. That is very, very interesting how this is assembled. They're saying add oil. I betcha I've got to poke this shaft out to get this shaft out. That's gonna suck. Was not planning on that, so we'll have to modify our game plan a little bit. And basically we'll have to clean up this shaft. We'll have to clean up this shaft right here, and we'll just basically have to slide the, we'll have to punch the old seal out and then slide the new seal in down the shaft. I was hoping to poke the shaft through the seal once I had it seated, but I don't think that's how we're going to be able to do this. And that seal is clearly bad. This seal is still good, so we're not going to mess with this seal. Have no desire to mess with this seal until the future. So, alright, well, that's what we're going to do. So I got to run to the store and get bearings, and then we'll come back and we'll punch out the seal, being careful not to scar up our bearing race here, and we'll go from there. So that is where I'm going to stop this video, and we will keep on keeping on when I get back. Alright, a couple hours later, and we're back with new bearings. Now the really nice thing is you can get these bearings at farm stores. These were $14.99 each at our farm store, our local farm store. They're just 1-inch bearings. It'll match up. I think Deere wants like 25 bucks a piece for these. Obviously these were, I believe these are like made in China or whatever. But it is what it is. I mean, obviously, if you're not looking at these every year and inspecting them, you probably should be. So not really too much of a shock to have to replace these. These bearings take a lot of abuse with what they're doing. They will frequently break, things along those lines. But what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and work on popping this seal out. I'm just going to do that with a screwdriver, basically pop it out, run it down the shaft. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and wipe down the shaft. That way it's easier to work with. It's not slipping and sliding everywhere. And then I'm going to clean up these ends a little bit, take some emery cloth, whatnot, and shine all that up. That way the new bearings will go on a little bit easier, a little bit nicer. So I'm going to kind of do all that off camera, and when I get ready to put do some of the cleaning steps, I'll bring the camera back out. But other than that, I'll do a lot of that off camera. I mean, to pop the seal out, just put a screwdriver in there and pop the seal. Not a big deal. So be back in a little bit.